Hello and welcome to That Game Show, the show that talks about everything in the nerd world and all the stuff in between. I am Chase Bunker alongside the half Asian sensation Curtis Coe and the married man with the glowing headset Daniel Clegg. How you guys doing?
Hello, friends.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about. One of the big ones coming out was the fact that Kickstarter right now, their promotions are going down by half. Right now, they've only raised $13 million in game kickstarting funds, which they're on pace for 27 million, which is half of what they did last year. Guys, what do you think is up right now with Kickstarters?
Uh, do you want to start with this one, or do you want me to rage first?
Why don't you go first?
Why don't you rage
Okay.
first?
Okay. A lot of stupid projects that were scams, and I think people are being a little more careful with their money. I think it's just as simple as that. I mean, there were several games that were super high profile, and pretty much, I remember one they like misused $35,000 they paid to someone who did 1 day of work for them,
Oh,
and just
jeez.
all sorts
Oh
of
wow.
other issues. I don't remember, but it's basically it comes down to if you pay game developers to make a game, they'll make a game. You pay people who have no idea how to make a video game money, they're gonna fail.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
That is the scare when you do an indie, uh, indie developers and you do support for them. You don't know if they really are someone working out of their garage, and they've never done it before, and they're hoping to get some backing to get into the market, but maybe they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's always an option. What I thought was pretty interesting is that my research shows that Kickstarter as a whole is still growing, right? It's just this video game area where we're seeing a decline from
Mhm.
last year, which could be attributed to the sort of failed projects you're talking about. But as a
Yeah.
whole, Kickstarter is doing just fine. In fact, I think they're doing better than last year, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So it's just the game portion right now is awful. But there's pros and cons to this. Like a game that Curtis and I both hold near and dear that we're excited to come out is you had Amplitude get
Yeah.
crowdfunded.
That's gonna
Because
be
I think it's
awesome.
because you see a company like Harmonix, like, okay, these are actual game companies. You also saw Shovel Knight get created as well. And
Hmm.
so you see a lot of pros going into the Kickstarter. However, then you have a Kickstarter with Yog Ventures, which I don't know if you heard right now is canceled.
I heard about
Is
Like
that,
that
and
all
is
their
even
is
money
that
is
the one
gone.
that
too,
was
right?
is the Yogg one the one that was made by non-game developers, or they were like sourcing it out? It was
Yeah.
some you Yeah, that was the one I was talking about where they literally paid someone $35,000 to do like 3 days of work, and it was garbage. And it's like you can't you really got to do your research before you invest in
Exactly. And you can't
these type of
just
projects.
Yeah, you can't just say, "Oh, give us money so we could give it to other people." That's like, no,
Exactly.
I want a game developer to do it. And I think also like with Shovel Knight, it helped that they originally had like a Game Grumps promotion as well. That they
Mm.
got product out there and said, "Hey, by the way, this game's good. This game's legit. It's not gonna be a scam. You should donate to this."
Well, and actually, kind of funny. I actually did support a Kickstarter. I think it was last year, called Shadowrun Returns, and the game was
Hmm.
fantastic. The expansion, at least, is extremely good, which I got for free for being a Kickstarter. But the thing for me was I didn't really even care about the game, to be honest. It was the extra stuff that I was getting from it that I really wanted more than anything else. Like I got for those of you that are familiar with Shadowrun, I got a Dockwagon card and I got a T-shirt and I got all this cool gear that I really wanted more than the game itself. So it's also making sure you get something tangible that you want. It's besides the game. Make sure you're getting best bang for your buck kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just unfortunate when that situation turns into that's all you get is
Yes,
the accessory pieces, not the actual product you were supporting in the first place, you know?
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. I think right now you might see an increase, like if they find like another high-profile game, because who is it? Tim Schafer did one with, gosh, that name's gonna escape me. It
It's
just
Broken Age, I think it's
Broken
called.
Age. There you go.
Yeah,
And you saw that succeed. So I
but
think it depends on the person that does the Kickstarter, and if it's like Joe Schmo from across the street, yeah, no thanks. But if
well,
it's someone, I'm sorry.
correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they have to kickstart twice for Broken Age?
Um,
I think they ran out of money and then they had to kickstart
hmm.
twice. Or something weird like that. There was a lot of controversy about that as well, where they were basically saying that, they didn't have enough money even though they raised something like 6 to 10 million on the first run.
I'm
Well,
trying to
that's not
remember.
entirely unheard of to do a second round of funding. I think what was it? What's the VR headset? Not Oculus, right?
Oculus, yeah.
Oculus
Oculus,
did
yeah.
2 rounds, I think, and they like doubled their or they got 75 million on the second round of funding, I believe.
Yeah.
So
And
it's not necessarily a bad thing if the interest has grown and continued to grow after the end of their season of their first round of funding. Why not go again and see if you can get more?
All right,
It's
yeah.
not
well,
necessarily a sign of failure, I think.
it was more of an issue that they basically came out and said, "We don't have the money to finish the game." Even though we have all, they said we need, I think it was $500,000 starting out. They got something like 10 million, and then they come back and they said we don't have enough.
Yeah.
That's where I start to run the, well, are you just mismanaging money? What is going on there?
Which could be they just don't know what they're doing because they're new in the game or they're new in the industry and they don't know how to manage money. Or it could be that they're, doing something nefarious,
Yes.
Yeah,
right? Could go either
That
way.
could be it.
yeah.
Um, I actually had something clever to say. Oh, the one thing that actually, no, I figured it out. The one scare with Kickstarter is the fact that you don't get your money back, and so, oh man,
I believe Kickstarter is making some 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 countermeasures to try to make sure you can get your money back. There was, I think, just recently they changed to it so if the game doesn't get funded or something like that, and they're not offering their money back, you can actually sue the
yeah,
people.
okay,
So, so it
yeah,
used to be that they were not legally, uh, what's the right word? Legally held responsible
yeah,
for giving refunds, and I think if they don't offer refunds now, they can get sued.
yeah.
So,
That's good. Yeah. I like how I tell people, this is a completely unrelated note, this is why I stopped for a second. I like how I tell people, hey, I'm going to be doing this show. So what happens? Skype call right in the middle of the screen. It's like, I'm glad to see somebody reads my notes.
Yeah, they pay attention. It's
Yeah,
okay.
they always pay attention. So that's going to be fun trying to edit that in post. Moving along. This year's kind of been a bad year for James Bond villains. First, about a month or two ago, Richard Keel, the guy that played Jaws, passed away, and now Jeffrey Holder, the guy who played Baron Samedi from Live and Let Die, or as we know him, the guy from GoldenEye in the game, they
uh,
both passed away. So it
Oh, I didn't hear about GoldenEye.
yeah. Well, he no, not the
no,
actual
no, no,
guy,
no,
not
no,
Sean
no.
Bean, but
The
like in
game.
the game, he was a
Oh,
playable
oh, oh,
character,
okay,
and he
okay.
was the final level, the absolute final level. So, with Baron Samedi and Jaws both passing away, two classic villains, who is your favorite James Bond villain? Curtis, I'll start with you.
No, we're gonna start with Clay because you already started with me.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Fine.
I like the most recent one. And I can't remember his name right now. I
Javier
wrote it down.
Bardem.
That one. He was better than the last two, and I can really only go off of the most recent Bond movies with Daniel Craig. I haven't seen the others in so long. I don't even remember the villains that well. But he's just such an upgrade over the past two. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
That's true.
I didn't like Quantum of Solace, and now I'm getting a Skype call.
Does nobody read my notes? Good lord, I'm now invisible on Skype, and what do I do? Hey, let's add Chase to the call. Oh, good.
I think somebody was just trying to remake a call. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine.
This
It's
is gonna
all
be
good.
great editing. I'm gonna have fun with this. All right, Curtis, favorite Bond villain?
I am going to go with the recently deceased Jaws.
Yeah.
I love him. He's the stupid, goofiest Bond villain that you ever saw. I think they literally just took some tinfoil and duct tape and put it on his teeth and then said, "Oh yeah, you can bite through anything." And like, I mean, the movie itself, which is Moonraker for reference,
Yeah.
he they go into space and he like is in space. I think literally at one part he like bites off an oxygen hose or something weird like that.
Yeah, and
It's
he
just
takes like a
super
rod and he just
goofy.
like bends it with his mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's stupid fun, and I kind of miss that about the old Bond films, how kind of goofy and completely outlandish they are. And I don't hate the new ones. I miss my laser watches and my
Yeah.
explosive pens and
Yeah,
you
I'm
know.
not sure they would fit in with today's movies.
Yeah,
Today's
They
got
wouldn't,
so
because they
pretty
like
and
realistic, and that's the one thing that sucks. Because I mean,
yeah.
they're both great on two different scales. I
Yeah.
love the looniness that was like the older movies with the laser watches and the world domination. You didn't really get that with Skyrim. I mean, GoldenEye kind of had like a world. Oh, Skyfall, excuse me.
Okay.
Skyrim.
Yeah, you know,
There's
James
no
007.
lasers in Skyrim.
It's fine. It's fine. It's a gaming podcast.
It's
Okay.
their watch, Phosphor DOS, every time they use it. I like both your choices. I wanted to throw in Oddjob. I wanted to throw in, of course, Jaws, and Javier Bardem was so good. One of my favorites. It would have. It's gonna sound like a little bit hipsterish. I loved Nikolai Diavolo from the game Everything or Nothing. If you ever played that, where it was played by Willem Dafoe.
Oh man, I've never played that game, so I have no idea.
Oh,
No
man.
idea.
Oh, it was next to GoldenEye. Which here's the thing: if you play it now,
wow.
you'll love Everything or Nothing much better than GoldenEye, because GoldenEye didn't age well.
No.
Everything or Nothing was essentially a James Bond movie in a game, and it was really cool. And they literally got they got Pierce Brosnan to do the voice, Dame Judi Dench, they got Maya to do the voice work, and you had Heidi Klum, and then Willem Dafoe as a Bond villain, and it was so beautiful, and just his performance was amazing. And of course, like, it
Please
doesn't
tell.
help that I already like Willem Dafoe. He's also one of my favorite games, Beyond Two Souls. Play it, plug. And it was just an all-around this great game, and just to, like, see the Green Goblin be a Bond villain, that was awesome. And of course, Sean Bean, because he was essentially my first Bond villain.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
But did William Dafoe do
They
the?
die. They die.
Well, it's James Bond, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Sean Bean too.
Yeah.
So.
He technically died twice.
He did technically die twice. He got
Yeah.
blown up. And
He
then
only lived
got-
twice. Well, apparently he only died twice, too.
He got blown up twice too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh man.
No. No, because in GoldenEye, he got shot. And then the second one was when he fell down. And then, oh, by the way, spoilers. If you
Oh.
haven't seen GoldenEye, I mean, good lord.
I think it's fair. It
You
was.
can't be responsible for that. At
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
That's almost. It's over 10 years. I
Yeah.
think. Now.
Over 10 years. So, I feel like I'm missing, like, another, like, crucial Bond villain. But,
We could go with something like Scaramanga or The Man with the Golden Gun.
yeah.
Or, Doctor No.
Dr.
or,
No.
I can't think of
There's
anything off the top of my head.
Oddjob, of course, with the hat.
Yeah, I like that villain. It was stupid fun again,
Yeah.
where you had a hat that could somehow cut through iron bars.
Yeah, a hat that kills people? What the heck?
I don't ask questions. It's fine.
Yeah.
love
I
this
choose not to
stuff.
ask questions. Well, I shouldn't say that. Granted, I did just ask a question.
Yeah.
All right. Last topic for the day. Xbox One just got released in China and sold 100,000 units, and it was like the first next-gen console. I believe it was the first console in a while to actually be released in Japan or in China.
Yeah.
They've had an what's the word? Embargo.
Ban.
Ban. Yeah, they're not allowed to import consoles.
Yeah.
For I think 15 years or something. Long time.
That's crazy.
I thought they had a deal with I think they just make knockoffs. So never mind. I think
Yeah.
they just made knockoffs for the normal consoles.
Xbox 1.1 or something.
Yeah, something like that. Or it was X China or something.
Something like that.
Mm.
What is it? You can't use Google or something in China?
Yeah, there's
You can, but I think they heavily filter it.
Yeah. All right. So the question is, since it's been a year for us, over a year, is it time to buy a new console? Is it time to buy the PlayStation 4s and the Xbox Ones? And heck, I'll throw in the Wii U, even though that answer is probably a no.
Hey, I have a Wii U. and it's
I
got
would
some
like a
good
Wii
games.
U if I would like. I mean, we played Mario Kart and that was fun.
Mario Kart's awesome.
Bayonetta 2 came out, so
Awesome.
that might increase
Bayonetta-
sales.
Bayonetta
Hyrule Warriors.
1
I'll
was
let you know.
really good.
Yeah.
Bayonetta 1 was really good. Plug.
Hyrule
Plug.
Warriors,
Plug.
Maybe save your money on Hyrule Warriors. Maybe don't get that one. That one's okay.
If you
didn't like
if
it?
you
Great.
if you like Dynasty Warriors or like Hyrule Warriors, if you don't like Dynasty Warriors, don't play Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, don't do
So
that.
All right. So, Clegg, I'll start with you. Is it time to buy an Xbox One or a PS4?
Personally, not quite yet because there's a lot of stuff coming out for the PS4 specifically, but I'm waiting for next year because that's when some of the big things hit.
Yeah.
You know, Xbox One, I'm just not feeling it yet. Um, it doesn't have the games I want. It's
Yeah.
got a couple of cool exclusives, but I haven't been a Halo person since Halo 2. You know, so it having the Halo franchise doesn't really do it for me at this point.
Jet?
It's the PS4.
PS4 maybe? Okay. Jet?
no,
No.
I I
No.
I'm not really. I don't know. Like I bought a PS3 and I bought an Xbox, and I'm still enjoying both of them. And I feel like I have a lot of games to catch up on the PS3, and I
Hmm.
can buy PS3 games for like $20 a piece.
Yeah.
And that's going to take me years and years to get through some of those games. I still have to beat Heavy Rain, which I did
Yes.
start again. Which I did start again.
Good.
So,
By the way, Heavy
but
Rain, one favorite game of all time. Plug.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
it's
Yes.
Indigo Prophecy actually is my favorite, one of my favorite games of all time.
That's
Plug.
I just
It's
what
you
I
can
do is
find it
I
on
just put
Steam.
Quantic Dream on there and I just like see these games, favorite games, and I make my list weird. We'll
I,
talk about that in a different episode.
yeah, well, that's a different episode. My argument is I normally can get it on PC for cheaper,
That
and
was my next argument.
Yeah.
I can plug in a controller to my PC, and I have a comfy chair. And I mean, what do I have on my PC that I don't have on my, you know, on my PlayStation or my Xbox? I haven't seen that thing that I'm like, oh man, I have to have that. Because most of it ends up coming to PC anyways.
Yeah, I would agree, except for the exclusives, which most of the time we can live without.
Yeah,
And to full disclosure, we are all heavy PC gamers more than anything
yeah,
else.
Yeah.
yeah.
We all have fairly decent rigs and can play.
I'm a happy.
You know, yeah, you're kind of in the middle. You're where I was 5 years ago, Chase. It's
Yeah.
okay. I was there.
Yeah. I think you guys are both
We can
correct
play
in that.
almost all the best games on the PC. The only thing, counter argument, Curtis, is that the big TV. That's what the console's there for.
But
Big
the
TV.
resolution, you and I have the same TV. The resolution is not nearly as good as the resolution on our PC. And the graphics output on PC is always better. And we always get those HD texture packs and stuff like that. Like Shadow of Mordor, we got a free HD texture pack which runs on such a high resolution.
I got 30 gig
Yeah,
package to
I know.
download. It was kind of ridiculous.
I know it's like super high, but think about that in the long run. Like years from now, when we have like 5 terabyte drives and we have like 14, or I'm sorry, like 32 gigabyte graphics cards,
Oh my
you
god.
know, and also, we have it all on Steam. I don't need to go anywhere else. I don't have to turn on my PlayStation to play some games. I don't have to turn on my Xbox to play other games. I can just play everything on the same thing. It just makes it easier.
And the prevalence of the PC market, I think, is what's contributing to these developers going for the add-on features, like the TV shows and the movies that both Sony and Microsoft were trying to make headway on. Like there was the Halo series that was going to happen. I think that got canned. But then there's the new Powers series coming out
Looks
from
awesome.
Sony, which looks pretty good. So they're sort of trying to expand what they're offering us a little bit to entice you onto their consoles because games probably aren't going to be enough for a long time.
Yeah, I noticed like with the new consoles now, it's not a gaming console anymore. It's the one console that you need in your living room. It does this, it does that, it makes you cookies, it does everything.
Which is funny because that was Xbox One's selling point and
Yeah.
everyone hated it. Now it's both of their selling points and everyone loves it.
Well, no, the Xbox One's selling point was you need it all. It always has to be connected and no used games. And everybody's like,
no.
no. And then PlayStation 4 is like, hey, you can use used games, and you know what? You don't have to have the internet on all the time. And it's funny because like, here's the funny thing about that. My internet's always plugged in on it, and I think like because there's a restriction, people freak out about it.
Yeah, they don't like being told what they can and can't do with their own hardware in their own home.
Exactly. But I do agree with both you guys. I think that there's not a lot of exclusive stuff out there. Like I would say Titanfall, but I can get Titanfall on PC now.
Yep.
And like my roommate has an Xbox One, and like don't get me wrong, it's pretty. But there's not a lot of stuff on there, not a lot of exclusives that make me go, I really want that. Like PlayStation 4 at least has like Infamous Second Son, you have Killzone, you have The Order coming out.
Got Bloodborne coming out. So
Exactly. Like,
excited.
there's a lot of good
Bloodborne.
games coming out,
Bloodborne.
but I think the one thing that like the PC argument is that in my PlayStation 3, I only have like maybe a 200 gig hard drive. I can't add another hard drive with that. Whereas my PC, I can add more hard drives, so I don't have to do that. The eternal, struggle of what do I need to delete, what do I need to do, this, that, and the other. I can have it all on there. And also, Steam sales are just so good.
Yeah, that's true. This year alone, when the summer Steam sale hit, I think I spent like at least $100 just on like
I was
$5
very
games.
proud. I only spent $40 on the last
you
Steam sale.
resisted a lot.
Yeah,
I was like, I want to buy everything,
all of
but
the things.
$40 is what I'm gonna spend.
Yeah. I kept it low this year.
On a completely different note for the Xbox and PC wars, Xbox just came out with something that they said if you're an indie developer developing for us, it has to come out before or at the same time as it comes out on any other console, including PC.
Same time is great. I like the universal release where everything comes at the same time.
Yeah.
So I mean that's fine, and they're just protecting their interests in that case.
I think it's gonna shove a lot.
At least they didn't say it has to come out first on Xbox.
Yeah,
but they basically were trying to say that, but just kind of heavily suggesting it. I guess you could say.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I don't think they can get away with that though.
Yeah, I think like PC, I think PC's a lot more indie developer friendly, and also Steam sales.
Steam sales,
Steam sales are so good.
I'm gonna go back to the exclusivity argument. We all like to make fun of the Wii U because it's not as good hardware-wise. It's got funky ass games, and it just hasn't sold particularly well. But they have the exclusivity.
They do.
Yeah, they
for
do.
their fans, for fanboys of Nintendo products, they have the exclusivity.
But
is that a word?
Exclusivity is a word.
That's a word.
Well, now it is because we're in America.
I mean, but my argument again would be against my problem is I bought a Wii. I was like one of the first adopters to the Wii. I was super psyched about it. And then they have a couple exclusives, which is great, but then they don't have all those other games that I really want. So it's like
third party.
No one else besides Nintendo will develop for it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Clegg, I do agree with you, especially on the fact that they do have a lot of exclusives. And the thing is, like, their exclusives are like they could literally just say Mario, and it's like, okay, this is going to be a great game. Zelda, this is going to be a great game. I won't play it because I don't play Zelda. But it's like, there's still the fact, Scatolas, you know the reason why.
I don't know why.
And
okay, got it. I got it. Fine. Okay.
That's for another episode, for another time.
That's for another episode.
Why I won't play Skyrim either, but that's for another episode, another time.
Jay hates spiders.
Burning passion. By the way, are there any spiders in Diablo 3's expansion?
Absolutely.
Yes, many of them.
Don't worry, they'll die so fast you won't notice them.
Yes, unless they're gold, in which case,
and then we'll do the best we can to kill them fast.
All right,
a ranged class, and you can hide in the back. It'll be fine.
Okay.
You're a barbarian.
I'm a barbarian, but
yeah, he's gonna to be.
You're gonna play the throw axe build that I made, and you'll be fine. You'll stay in the back and chuck things.
No, he wants to be in the front because that's where all the like pretty explosions and stuff happen, and he won't be able to see that they're spiders.
I do like pretty explosions.
Just saying.
Do that.
We put enough effects on the ground. It's kind of hard to see what the heck they are, anyways.
All right, we got time for another one because we actually been talking fairly well. Going back to the Kickstarter argument, they've been doing. Well, a lot of the arguments have also said, "Oh, you provide early access," and I notice that's becoming more of a trend now. Are you a fan of early access? Mind you, is there really a difference between beta and early access?
Yes. Well,
yes.
Depends on the company, right?
Right.
For example, the most recent expansion aside, when you played a Blizzard beta client for a new WoW expansion, it was pretty darn polished. You weren't going to necessarily crash out every 5 minutes due to bugs. It was 75% of the way there.
Yeah.
A lot of companies don't do that. You'll get in during alpha stages, but if you're into that sort of buggy, but I got to see it first experience,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with it. you're only helping the developer.
That's very true. Curtis?
I'm against early access. Pretty strongly against it for a couple of reasons. The first reason is I think early access is an excuse to put out crap. I'm not saying it's completely like that, but I there's been a lot of, especially on Steam, a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is an early access game," and they charge $20 for it, and it just doesn't work. It's
Yeah.
not playable. And then they say a month later, "Oh, it's released," and they didn't change anything. It's just the same game, and it's $10 more.
Right. If they
And it's
decide that they've reached their quota, they've reached the amount of money they had to make it a worthwhile investment
exactly.
halfway through development because of early access, then it becomes a bad thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where it gives really bad name to those people that are trying to make a better game by having early access games. And at this point, I'm kind of if I see early access, I probably or no like comments or reviews online, YouTube or anything, I won't even buy it. It's
Yeah.
Mm.
Because like
it's
Nosgoth was $2 on Steam like a while ago. I'm like, okay, this looks
I
interesting, and then it's like, oh, early access? No, thank you.
and I've heard that one's not terrible. It's I think it's vampires versus like vampire hunters or something like
Something
that.
like that.
And it's like kind of
It's
like a
weird.
MOBA or something.
It didn't look like a MOBA. At least, granted, this is also a few months ago, so my
Yeah,
argument
okay.
could be completely invalid.
Yeah, I've heard some things about Nosgoth being decent, but again, the same thing with the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Grain of
Is
salt,
is there a
you know.
difference between beta and early access? Like what's that line between early access and beta?
Well, like again, that depends on the company.
Yeah,
I think that's
Well,
completely subjective.
they also will usually say if it's an alpha or beta
that's very
Yeah.
and
true.
early access.
Because I remember when League of Legends came out originally, they were like, okay, yeah, this is beta, and like they made it known, hey, it's beta. When Old Republic came out, which that was one of my fondest memories, was getting clearance for that beta. They were
Hmm.
like, okay, hey, by the way, you're probably gonna encounter glitches, but this is beta. And I think if you make it known, like, by the way, this is beta, not early access, but beta, then it's probably like that's probably your safe line. Like if you have to pay $20, like oh you get it early. It's like I don't know how I feel about
I'm not
that.
sure that's enough of a feature. Yeah,
Yeah.
personally, I don't like doing it because I don't like bugs. I just don't like crashing out all the time. You know,
Yes.
I
Well,
want the finished product.
to be fair, you did buy Crypt of the Necrodancer, and that's an alpha. That's early access alpha.
That's true, but I got a review from that one
That's true.
before I purchased it. I heard it from a podcast that I listened to, and
Okay.
so I put stock in that person's opinion, and he said it was working great. So yeah, I think that's a little different than just putting your
It's true.
Okay.
hedging your bets. But you know what, Chase? This is a somewhat separate discussion, but what you said that just a minute ago, there was a game that you purchased or were thinking of purchasing for $2, but you decided not to because it had early access.
Yeah.
For me, what turned me off from whatever game you were just talking about wasn't the early access; it was the $2 price point.
Yeah.
There's been a trend going along, and I think I'm feeling it too. I don't want to pay $1 for a game. I don't want to pay $3 for a game. I want to pay a little more and know that the quality is there. You
That's
know,
very
or
true.
when I
Granted,
see
if
a
there was
one
like
dollar
if
price
Shadows of
point,
Mordor is $2, I'm like heck yeah, and I'm
well,
gonna
yeah,
like sign on for that.
that's because I already know the quality is there. But on a
Yeah.
game,
Yes.
I have no idea what it is. I've only heard reviews. The free to play can be good if they do it right. So that's sort of a gray area. But when I see a 99 cents price point, I get a little edgy. I'm not sure I want to invest my time in that because if the quality's not there, it was a waste of time.
All right.
Yeah.
I'd rather
I
pay a
agree.
little more.
I agree with you actually on that.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you guys very much for joining me on this podcast, and thank you guys very much for watching. Leave a like down below the video. Also, feel free to subscribe if you want to watch more of these, That Game Show, That News Show, and also That Sports Show, which will be coming up eventually when I feel like posting it. It doesn't look like crap. Feel free to leave a comment down below, ask us some questions, and who knows, we might actually answer it on our next video. Other than that, for Curtis and Daniel, I am Chase. Have a good one, and we will see you next time.
Bye, friends.